Hello, I would like to talk today about errors in the Bible related to quotations the New Testament takes from the Old Testament. And in this instance, I'd like to talk about Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 through 15. Verse 14 it says, "When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed out into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son." Now, this clearly lays claim to some Old Testament passage, and if in doing so, you would expect for the surrounding text to support our view of Jesus and have some relevance to him. The Old Testament passage is Hosea chapter 11, verse 1. I'm going to note some little excerpts from verses 1 through verse 12. Verse 1 says, "When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt." Verse 2 says, "As they called them, so they went from them. They sacrificed unto Baalim and burned incense to graven images. I taught Ephraim also to go, taking them by their arm, but they knew not that I healed them." In verse 5 it says, "He shall not return to the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be his king, because they refused to return." In verse 7 it says, "And my people were bent on backsliding from me, though they called them to the Most High, none at all would exalt him." Down in verse 12 it says, "Ephraim compasseth me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Judah yet ruleth with God, and is faithful with the saints." Summary of the passage, the child is identified as Israel, and the pronoun him is used. The textually consistent usage of "my son" is used in reference to Israel. A disobedient group of people that are described who are unaware of their caretaker. The result of their disobedience is that they are condemned to bondage to Egypt and service to the Assyrian king. Furthermore, their own counsels will lead them into violence upon their own cities. The first thing I notice about this passage is it doesn't appear to be any kind of prophecy at all. It's just an account of what has happened and the disobedience of those people that were led out of Egypt, that were called out of Egypt. In short, the passage is about a special group of people who are going to be punished for their disobedience, and it doesn't fit what we're talking about Jesus at all. Was Jesus unaware of his caretaker? Was Jesus disobedient? Was Jesus punished for his disobedience? Will the Assyrian be his king? Were his cities condemned as a result of his disobedience? No, this doesn't fit anything about Jesus. So I conclude that the New Testament usage of the Old Testament passage is invalid, and I'll leave it to you to study and see if you agree.